But first, let's get to the big event coming up this weekend, which is the Run for the Roses Kentucky Derby coming up this week. And a brand new release coming from DraftKings this morning saying that DraftKings Racing has officially launched ahead of the Derby this week. It's available in Florida, Ohio, Oregon, Delaware, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Louisiana, Montana, and New Hampshire. So those of you who are betting on the horses this week with the Triple Crown Challenge coming, starting with this week's Run for the Roses, you can do so on DraftKings in those states, of course, which is officially legal. Meanwhile, yesterday in the NBA did not produce the most exciting results, but let's go through them as well because we do have some series that are getting more interesting, although there were a lot of blowouts yesterday in the NBA. The Rockets did take care of the Lakers in a big way, 115-96. So the Lakers still lead the series because they won Friday, and so they have a 3-1 lead in the series, but the Rockets did win and cover, and actually the sportsbook had to adjust the line. So they were 4.5-point favorites. Amen Thompson had 23 points. The Lakers can capture this series if they win Wednesday night in Los Angeles. But for the time being, Ime Udoka, who certainly is still up against it, liked the way that his team played facing elimination.
Tonight, everything seemed to really click. Just what did you like about your team's resiliency and what you saw overall tonight?
I think our aggressiveness was on display from the start. First time holding them outside of 30-point first quarter, so much better effort there, defensive intensity across the board. I loved our ball pressure, forcing 24 turnovers for 30 points and 17 of those being steals, so our activity was great, and that's made the difference from the start.
It's obviously very challenging without your two leading scorers to generate offense. I think we'll take a look at the process again on that end as well, and I know our points per shot and our expected points per shot were slightly below our season average. So there, to me, again, it goes back to the two keys: take care of the ball, and we'll look at that and how we can be better there.
All right, so we'll check out the next game in the series on Wednesday. How about a tight one between Toronto and Cleveland? It looked like the Cavs may run through this series, but not so fast. The Raptors win 93-89. Scotty Barnes had 23. Also, Brandon Ingram had 23. Wednesday night will be game 5 there, and that could eventually decide the series. And so now Brandon Ingram knows that his team certainly has to go back to Cleveland to get a win to win this series. Here's what he thinks they have to do, tied 2-2.
Hey, Brandon, congratulations. Now that the series is tied up, evened, what you guys have to do when you get to Cleveland on Wednesday?
Well, we got to expect a fight, back in their territory. The fans going to be super loud, bringing the energy, and got to be ready for, Donovan Mitchell to bounce back. All their guys going to be ready, so we just got to be ready too.
It's one of those things where we just got to find a way, right? And we didn't. And they protected home court, so now it's our job to kind of, do the same thing at the end of the day. I can't sit here and just be like, oh, we're defeated. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they protected home court. We made mistakes. We watched the film 2 days and adjust. But, our defense gave us a chance, you know what I mean? And offensively, obviously, I wasn't great. We weren't hitting shots, but our defense was solid, and we can build on that and continue to hang our hat there, and the offense will come around.
Get your money out of the market now.
Trouble, especially if they have to watch that video pregame. 114-94. The Spurs win. Victor Wembanyama is back. He had 27 points yesterday, and so that's good news for them and bad news for the Blazers as they get ready to go back to San Antonio in the series. But even with adversity and missing Wemby, he says the team came through.
But what is it about the way this team handles those situations that enables you to overcome those deficits?
Yeah, we need to find the answers, before having our back against the wall. But that also shows us the strength of our team. In adversity, we stick together. We get closer to each other. We feed off of each other's energy.
Jeremy, this is 2 games where you guys had commanding leads. What what are you guys missing to be able to put a game away when you are able to run out and get that kind of lead?
I think that kind of shows that, we got the capability. We just got to stay poised. We got to figure out how to combat their adjustments. Something we got to figure out. Obviously, we haven't, but it shows that, we got the capability. So.
All right, so the Spurs now in complete control of their series. Same could be said for the Celtics. Wow, what a blowout last night. Not surprising. 128-98. I guess the surprise was that Joel Embiid came back for Philadelphia sort of out of nowhere. He had appendicitis and decided to play in this game. Actually played pretty well, too, despite the team losing. Payton Pritchard was the surprise for Boston. He had 32 points last night. So let's hear from Pritchard first and then Embiid on coming back from this appendicitis.
Payton, when you're on a heater, what's that feeling like? None of us in this room besides you know what it's like to.
It's a good feeling, but it's more of it's a flow state. I like to say it's like when you get in that flow state, it's the rhythm of how you're dribbling, the moves you can get to, in the shot making, obviously. But it's a good feeling, but. I try to, in my workouts, I try to hit that on a daily, so then when I get in the games, it's a regular thing.
Joel, what was the toughest or most challenging thing about coming back, jumping into a playoff series like this?
Yeah, it was tough because, I had some complications after the surgery and still kind of dealing with them, so cheers around and obviously I went up and down loads. And, it's probably to get the chance to play once and, fall right back and stuff. But, you try to do the best, job possible with the conditions. And, still got to go out there and play was our with a basketball game. And we did do that tonight. We didn't there were.
And, of course, we'll have previews of the rest of the games in the NBA tonight. The Orlando Magic are up 2-1. They play the Pistons. Thunder have a 3-0 lead over the Suns. Timberwolves lead 3-1 over the Nuggets. We'll preview those games coming up. All right, in baseball, a big surprise over the weekend. The Red Sox decided to part ways with their manager, Alex Cora, and basically their entire coaching staff, including their hitting coach, their bench coach, their third base coach, and even their game planning coach, Jason Varitek. Yesterday, general manager and chief baseball officer, they call Craig Breslow. He met with the media and talked about the decision to let go of Cora and his coach.
Right, now would you characterize what your working relationship was like with Alex, during this season, and is that part of the equation here that you guys are no longer as aligned as you want it to be?
I actually think I have a very good working relationship with Alex. Certainly, neither of us was satisfied with the start that we got off to, but we continued to bounce ideas off of each other to put all potential solutions on the table. Ultimately, as an organization, as a baseball operation, alongside ownership, we reached the decision yesterday to make these changes.
And the Red Sox did get that coaching bump, as they say, from the firing. They won 5-3 over the Orioles. Connolly Early had a nice game, 6 2/3 for strikeouts. Rockies swept the Mets in a doubleheader, and they also swept the series. How about that? Mets keep losing. So do the Phillies. Braves beat them 6-2, and the Diamondbacks beat the Padres 12-7.